suffering a pelvis contusion. He's scheduled to undergo an MRI in San Francisco on Thursday. Our girl, Monica McNutt, joining us now. Monica, top of the morning to you, lady. We'll get you in just a second.
What the hell is in that background? What kind of ceiling you? I mean,
She's in a hotel.
It's art.
I was like, Lord, that okay.
Beautiful photograph that I have only enhanced with my presence in the center.
All right, I understand. I was just wondering. I just saw the background. What the hell's going on?
Absolutely.
Where's she at?
I feel inspired by that art, Monica. So they tell me this: are the Warriors done without Butler at 100%?
Well, I think that it's going to be very, very tough for them to beat Houston. I wouldn't say definitively that they're done because Houston can be very sporadic offensively. Defensively, they'll bring it. But offensively, it's problematic for them to score at times. And anytime that's an issue for you, you can get beat. So I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion without Butler that they would win this series. But I would elevate them to being the favorites to win the series if Butler can't go, which I believe ultimately he will be able to go. Here's what I would tell you if Butler was going. Even if Golden State did get past the first round, you going home next round. I mean, you ain't winning. You ain't beating the Lakers or Minnesota without Jimmy Butler if you're the Golden State Warriors. That I would tell you, with Jimmy Butler, you could be going to the conference finals. Without him, you could go home in the first round, but you definitely be going home in the semifinals. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm with you, S.A. This is a big deal. I mean, there's two reasons that you think, oh, goodness, this is bad. One, if Jimmy Butler is out, they have traded away anybody that would have been able to potentially step in, right? And so you're literally looking at a depleted roster. Second, and we saw this last night, and our terrific sports and information group put out great numbers about this, but without Jimmy Butler on the floor, Stephen Curry was defended by 1.6 players per shot, right? So basically, the Rockets were able to send nearly the double team. But that is important to note because it's the most that he's seen that sort of volume in a playoff game under Steve Kerr. And so the Rockets defense has the type of athletes, has the scheme that they can really make life difficult on Stephen Curry. And without a true creator in Jimmy Butler, like that load is just going to be so persistent and consistent. Now, as you have pointed out, Stephen A., Stephen Curry is the best shooter that God has ever created.
There we go.
So I am not going to rule out something unfathomable happening, but I'm looking at the degree of difficulty if Stephen Curry has to carry this, not only the nature of game to game, but also the nature of the series, as he has had to navigate some aches and pains and bumps and bruises down the stretch of his career. You look at that Rockets group, they are largely young, healthy, and they play with a tremendous amount of energy on the other side. So this could be big time problematic.
It could be a big time problem, but I just don't see Jimmy Butler being able to walk off the basketball court. He's just a guy. I mean, the worst case scenario is that I see him missing game 3. That's the worst case scenario. Well, I can't see him being out longer than that. Not Jimmy Butler. He's just too rough. He's just too tough.
Monica?
I just don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. If he can go, he's going to go. But then I guess the next level of this question is like, what percentage of Jimmy Butler do you need? And even last night, to be fair, I think it was a dozen at one point in the fourth quarter. The Warriors were in striking distance, even though all the numbers bear out that they barely survived the time that Steph Curry wasn't on the floor last night. I just think it's fragile. I mean, we keep saying, and it's true, there's two sides of the coin, though. We keep pointing out the inexperience of some of these young teams that were able to clinch these high seeds, Houston being one of those that is a centerpiece. But on the flip side, while experience does give you a ton of confidence, it also translates to lots of mileage, and you just wonder about the nature of a series in terms of those quick turnarounds. Now, the good news is this next game is not until Saturday.
Yeah, but of course, much of their success will be dependent on Jimmy Butler and his health. Again, he'll be getting that MRI today on his pelvis.
Sure, 800 people have asked him, so I didn't want to add the 801. I know if he can play, he'll play, and that's what you expect.
Jimmy's only going to tell you he feel good. Like, you good? Like, of course. So, we'll see.
All right, so if the Warriors are going to do anything in this series, they're going to need Jimmy Butler healthy. This season, Warriors have won 75% of their games when Butler was in the lineup before the trade, which is why they made it. Golden State had under 500 record, so they're going to need him to be healthy. So welcome back Bobby Marks and Monica McNutt. And Bobby, simply are the Warriors in trouble without Jimmy Butler?
They are. if he can't play, I don't see them getting out of this series here, Matt. I just go back to looking at this roster before the Jimmy Butler trade, and it was a playing team at best. And I was in Los Angeles back in February, right after the Butler trade, when he was not on the court, and they certainly struggle scoring the basketball here. So if he can't play through this series here, I think we're going to see, certainly Golden State an early exit. It just shows you the separation from 2 to 7 in the Western Conference. There's such a small margin here, and you take Jimmy Butler off the court, and I think that's certainly going to impact Golden State.
All right, so Monica, how much trouble? We know they're in trouble, but I mean, how long can they stay afloat, assuming that Jimmy Butler might find his way back on the court?
Well, I think if you look at inexperience and youth for the Rockets, there's a possibility that they sort of trip themselves up. So I think they make this a series, but I'm with Bobby in terms of getting out of the series. The degree of difficulty seems really high. And our terrific sports and information group last night put out all these great graphics in terms of Steph Curry being guarded by 1.6 players most of the time that he touched the basketball. The Rockets were able to send more pressure because there's no one else really that is a creator in the way that Butler is to take some of the pressure off. Like last night, Steph was contested heavily at the three-point line. Like he was closely guarded because he was the focal point. And whether you buy the Rockets or you are concerned about their inexperience or not, one thing that was legitimate about the Rockets, first of all, they're the 2 seed, so they were pretty legit all season, but their ability to defend you with multiple long, rangy, athletic defenders. So I wouldn't put it past Steph, but I do think that the probability is unlikely as the degree of difficulty without another creator seems really, really high.
Yeah, Bobby, what's this roster look like if you remove Jimmy Butler from it, at least for this series?
Well, I mean, listen, you're still gonna get Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody, and last night you saw a lot of Guy Santos. You saw certainly Quentin Post play a ton last night. I thought the reserves actually played pretty well last night. They kept them in this game, and they were within striking distance here. But you're going to have an out-of-body performance by Stephen Curry for you to get out of this series if Jimmy Butler is not out there.
Monica,
multiple out-of-body.
Multiple, yeah.
Yeah, so who do you think that 0.6 player is on the 1.6 that we're guarding Steph?
Well, obviously, and you know what? The Thompson twins, they showed a shot of their parents in the stands. They have a great family, Asor and Amin. Obviously, last night, Asor has to deal with Steph. Amin has had to deal with Jalen Brunson. The Thompson twins they have big-time defensive responsibilities in this postseason. So, but I think when you look at Easton, Thompson, even Green last night, I thought he played good defense. I think Van Vliet played one of his best games in the series so far after a subpar game 1 for him. So I think as a collective, though, Ime Udoka is a guy that has been able to energize this